Hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com and I'm back today with another art journal project. I am going to be using my word of the year for this project, which is breathe. This really jumped out at me and I'm going to be using this book that I started on last month for my art journal. This came in the Hedgehog Hollow February kit, or actually January kit, which is what prompted me to start my art journaling again this year. And I'm going to be using this Strathmore mixed media paper. Now, I cut this paper out of this ringed binder because I want to put it in my book. So that's what I do, and I'm also going to be creating a card. Now, I was inspired by this card. I haven't shared this in a video yet, but I will be sharing how I made that along with a bunch of other cards as well. But this Breathe card is what inspired this whole thing. A lot of you have been wondering what happened to me also, so I'm going to share my story just a little bit. And today I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide sprays, and this other mixed media spray that I have here is the Dina Wakley spray, which is a gloss spray and one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a box that I do all my spraying in, and it's a little bit big. It's a little too large to fit the entire thing here in this picture, but you're going to get the idea of what I'm doing here. Now, my Dina Wakley spray has kind of gotten a little bit stuck, so I'm going to clean that out in a minute. But first I'm going to take a bunch of colors of greens and blues Distress Oxide inks, and I'm just going to spray them on the background of these papers that I've created for the card and for the art journal page. I'm using a variety of colors and I will link them below if you're interested. I find that if you use a lot of variety of color, then you can get a really fun marbly looking background or a really interesting look in the end. So here's how I clean that out. I removed the top and then there was some ink stuck in that spot right in there and I was able to just pull it right out. And now I'm going to be spraying on top of what I've sprayed the oxides, and you can see that the oxides just completely absorb that gloss spray, so it's almost like I didn't use it at all. It was so interesting and so fun to see. Note to self, if you want to use that other gloss spray, then need to use that before the oxide sprays instead of after, because the oxides just completely enveloped it. I am using this beautiful stamp set here. It is something that really spoke to me. There's a very brave bear holding a girl and encouraging her to be brave. And many of you already know this, but if you don't, then I just wanted to let you know that my father passed away from COVID just after Christmas. He loved bears, and so I have a project ongoing that I am creating a lot of bear cards and bear art journals and things that help me remember my dad and make me feel happy. The reason I art journal is because I like to pull together things that are meaningful to me, also things that help me to process emotions and make me smile. I also love trying new techniques, putting them together in an art journal. So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing that. You can see, or maybe you noticed, I did get some ink on the back of my hand. So I cleaned off my hand and I cut these bears apart so that I wouldn't keep smearing that ink that was from my hand on there. I did use my favorite black ink here that does dry very quick, and it's so great with Copic markers. It doesn't smear unless you get it on your finger and wipe it on your project. So don't do that. But this is my new favorite black ink of all time. I am coloring these images with my Copic markers, and I'm going to be using Nina Solar White for this, which is a favorite for Copic coloring for me, or one of my favorites anyway, I should say. And I'm going to be using some blues and greens for the girl. I colored that bear up dark because I wanted him to be a very strong bear, one that is brave, brave, brave. And so I used some neutral grays, and it also covered up that splotch that I got on this second one. So you can see this second one, I colored the girl up with some blues. And now I'm using my favorite blonde combination right now, which is the YR24, then the Y21, Y11, and then I Also use a Y000 on that. This blonde, I think, has a little bit of brown streaks to it, and it reminds me a little bit of my hair. So as I said, my father passed away right after Christmas. I went through a very long period of mourning where I cried about every single day. And a lot of people told me that you process your grief emotions in your lungs. And I ended up getting bronchitis and losing my voice for a period of time. And so I stopped doing videos for a while. I got some questions, people asking where I was, and that's the reason why I was not able to do video for a while. Some of my videos that I did last week, you can kind of tell that my voice was going or was gone. It took me a while to get that back, and now here I am, and I'm so happy to be able to do this voiceover because I did create this card and art journal when I was grieving quite a bit. And this was helping me to kind of be strong. I'm imagining that this bear image is, of course, my dad holding me up, helping me to learn how to deal, how to grieve. There's a lot of things that are helpful here for me. And hopefully you're learning a little something too for your art journaling. And I really love, for example, how these backgrounds turned out. Do you see the different colors that we got and how interesting this was? It was super easy to do just using the sprays. I was going to add a little something else to this background, but I decided I loved the way that it turned out. So I didn't add anything extra, but I am cutting the arm on this bear so that he can hold the little Be Brave sign and that it can also be going over the cloud on the art journal one. So I did that with my X-Acto knife and I cut out a little piece of the inside there. And now I'm going to add just a few little details also from this same stamp set. I love this set. Now you can see on the right that I have already typed out the words that I want to use on my art journal. And these words are something that was just kind of jumped out at me. I was listening to a radio station, or actually it was Pandora, and this song came on right when I was making that first breathe card that I showed you. And my ears perked up. I started listening to the words, and it was actually speaking directly to me, I believe. It says here, "Rebuilder, you brought the light into the room and filled my lungs so I could learn to breathe again." And I just love those words. So I knew that those were what needed to be on my art journal for this particular set here. So I just printed those out on some cardstock and I cut them into these phrases so that I could glue them on just like that to my art journal. For this card, I went ahead and stamped the sentiment that was in the stamp set, and it says, "Gather up your bravest self and head off into the wild unknown." I love that. So I heat embossed that with some clear embossing powder, stamped it with some black VersaFine Onyx Black. And to put these clouds down, I cut these clouds out of vellum. And the vellum has a little bit of interesting confetti inside of it. So I really loved it for this piece. To stick it on, I am using my Xyron Create-A-Station, because when you put sticker on the back of an entire vellum piece, you can't tell that there's any adhesive on there. So it's so much better than just adding little bits of glue here and there, because you cover the entire thing with stickers. So it still looks like vellum. So I love that trick. And now I'm going to pop up that bear with the girl here and the Be Brave using some foam tape, foam adhesive, and then I'll glue down her little, kind of like a scepter, I guess, or her wand. I colored up a heart with the same colors as her dress, which are the B90s, B93, 95, and 97, I believe. And now I'm gluing that to the card base, and there is our Be Brave card. I added a couple different little embellishments from the stamp set as well. That little heart hanging off of the sentiment there. And now I did the same thing to the first set of clouds here on my art journal. I stuck it through the Xyron Create-A-Station to make it a sticker. And now I'm going to pop up the bear and the front cloud with the girl and using some 3M foam tape. So I'm going to do that here. Just add that to this. And I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid adhesive to add the rest of these items. I'm going to pop up that little heart wand with some foam tape as well and glue the rest down. Just wanted to tell you that I am feeling a lot better now. My sisters and my mom and I took a weekend trip to the beach so that we could grieve together, do some laughing, crying, some memories of my dad, share all of those things. And that really, really helped me as well. We did some meditations. I shared some of my art with them as well. And it was just really, really healing. So to finish up this card, I am going to attach it to a second piece of that mixed media paper. I wanted it to be a little bit stronger, and since I sprayed that first paper with all of that spray, the oxide spray and the gloss spray, it did make it a little bit flimsy. So to make it stronger, I added a second piece, and now I'm going to use my template that I created on the first art journal, and I'm going to draw on those circles where I need to punch them out. So this will fit perfectly in my art journal. Now I'm going to outline each of those phrases with a black marker, and I'm going to add some white gel pen detail. So I'm adding a little bit of a squiggly line beneath each one and some dots beside each of those phrases there. Give it a little bit more interest and detail. And look at that, you can kind of see that. Look at the background and how interesting all those colors work together. That breathe I cut out of glitter paper, a bright blue glitter paper that I love. And there are our projects today. We've got our art journal page with the breathe reminding me to breathe, my word for the year, and the card also. Both of them very brave and strong. I love how these turned out, and that fits perfectly in my binder. It is a little bit shorter than my other page, but that's okay. Sometimes art journals are an eclectic mix. So I love how it turned out. I hope that you enjoyed this video as well. Thank you so much for stopping by and for liking this page. Be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know if you art journal or if you are going to start art journaling, or if you have a word of the year this year. I love the word for my word for the year. I do have a reminder on my phone to remind me to breathe, which I know that sounds funny, but it really is helpful. And it pops up once a day. So thank you so much again for stopping by. I appreciate you so much. Here are a few more videos you might be interested in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.